Welcome to the All Authors Podcast. We're so glad you found us. We're the global community of authors writing about Alzheimer's and dementia from personal experience to light the way for others. I'm Marianne Shuko, a registered nurse, author, and dementia daughter.
And I'm Christy Byrne-Yates, a licensed educational psychologist, dementia daughter, OWLS author, and coach focused on the sandwich generation. Please join us for bi-weekly episodes with our authors as we talk about their dementia journeys, sharing intimate details and painfully obtained knowledge to help others currently on that path.
We hope these stories offer you comfort and support as we strive to break the silence and stigma surrounding a dementia diagnosis.
May one of our authors speak to your experience.
This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time. Content presented in the following podcast is for information purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guest and may not represent the views and opinions of the Whole Care Network. Always consult with your physician for any medical advice, and always consult with your attorney for any legal advice. And thank you for listening to the Whole Care Network.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to All Authors Live. I'm Marianne Shuko, the author of Blue Hydrangeas, an Alzheimer's love story, and a founder and manager at All Authors, the global community of authors writing about Alzheimer's and dementia from personal experience to light the way for others. We welcome you to this panel presentation on caring for mothers with dementia. 3 sons share their stories. Thank you for sharing your precious time with us. I'd like to introduce some of the members of our management team who are with us this afternoon. Christy Byrne-Yates is my podcast partner and co-moderator for this event. A member of our management team and board of directors, she also manages our YouTube channel, and she's the author of Building a Legacy of Love, Thriving in the Sandwich Generation. And we also have Vicki Tapia here today. Vicki is a founder of All's Authors. She's been with me since day one, 10 years ago. And she is the author of Somebody Stole My Iron, a family memoir of dementia. She serves as our treasurer and is a member of our board and management team and an acquisitions editor for children's books. All's Authors is celebrating its 10th anniversary this month. What started as a 1-month project has grown into a worldwide organization supporting caregivers and others concerned about dementia. We represent authors on all continents except Antarctica, mostly throughout the English-speaking world. To date, we number almost 400 authors. Our collection includes more than 400 resources, including books, blogs, podcasts, films, and more. Please explore our website at allsauthors.com to discover a wealth of information for caregivers by caregivers. While you're there, enter our giveaway to win our mini custom caregiver collection of 3 of our titles, your choice of topic. So now I'd like to introduce our panelists. We have David Bredbenner. He is a technology professional who travels globally for work and helped care for his mother with his sister. He's the author of Going Home, a memoir about their caregiving journey. Vincent Zappacosta is a writer, photographer, and graphic designer. He and his husband, Douglas Christensen, cared for his mother using photography, video, music, and laughter to ease the way, sharing their journey on his blog, which eventually became a book called Dementia Mama Drama. And Alfredo Botello is an architect turned screenwriter and novelist. He's the author of the novel Spin Cycle, Notes from a Reluctant Caregiver, based on his story of caring for his mother with likely early onset Alzheimer's, and that's in quotes. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Let's get started here. We put this together because when we think of caregivers, we often think of women in this role, although 40% of caregivers are men, and many of whom are caring for a spouse. However, many men are also providing care to their mothers. So the first subject I'd like to explore here is heeding the call to care. And what prompted you to accept this role? David, what prompted you to heed that call?
I'd say it's probably twofold. It's my personality and the scope of my family, dealing with other, dramas like that. My father having cancer, my sister passing away. I've always kind of been the go-to for that, along with my baby sister. So I felt like I really didn't have a choice, right? When it hits, like, it's a storm. So I'd love to give myself more credit, but a lot of it's just reacting, right? It's firefighting. And then suddenly you're just drawn in, and before you know it, it becomes a part of your routine. So I always felt a duty to my mom, but it's more my nature, right? Just to do it. Whereas other people in my family couldn't because of geographical distance or things of that nature. So it was partially duty, love, and partially just kind of part of who my DNA is.
Okay. And you have a large family, correct?
Yeah, we used to have 5 kids in my family. My sister passed away in 2014, but there were 4 of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that sounds like the kind of thing that happens to a lot of caregivers, right? Like it just sort of, you just wake up one day and you're like, okay, I'm doing this. But yeah, it does fall sometimes to people. And I hear what you're saying about being the natural go-to.
How about you, Alfredo? What prompted you to heed the call to be a caregiver?
Necessity. But the first thing I want to say is, Vicky, is it you who has a book called Someone Stole My Iron?
Yes.
Okay, so super high praise right away for that title. I think it captures exactly what this experience is like. And there's a bit of humor in that title, and I hope it has some of that in it, because without it, it's going to be a crushing experience. Well, necessity, I want to just echo first what David said. Partly it's reactive. You're putting out fires, call it whack-a-mole. I mean, whatever image you want for dealing. So I'm an only child, so there was really not a question. And my mom was an absolutely stellar mom. And still is. She, no college degree, put me through private high school, working 2 jobs. She handed out towels to wealthy tennis players at a tennis club after her full-time job at IBM. So let's just make sure to understand what an incredible person she was. She took belly dancing lessons in the 70s. Okay, that's how she handled her post-divorce life. Very cool person. Anyways, when my stepdad, her husband of 27 years, passed away in 2021, that's where the veil was really ripped off. In my mind, I had the narrative: mom is well, she's healthy. Jim is not well; his kidneys are failing. So she was the caregiver. That's all. It was just that simple. And then when he passed, it became clear to me that they were both each other's caregivers. And that showed up initially as my mom's panic calls to 911 whenever she felt her heart was racing and I wasn't there. And I'm guessing in the past that Jim probably talked her down in that situation. And when I was with her, especially right out in the days and weeks after he passed, I couldn't go from one room to the next without her following me and going, "Oh, there you are. Oh, where are you?" And I was really irritated. Like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm just here. What are you doing?" I was just bugged and irritated. So we can talk about guilt and shame hopefully later, because there's a lot of that. But that's how so the short answer is, I'm the only child. It is going to be me. I wanted it to be me. And that it all really got thrust center stage with the passing of my stepdad.
Okay. And Vincent.
So actually there was really no option for me. My mother and I were always close, and I just didn't trust anyone else to take care of her, because nobody knew her as well as I did. So I knew what was needed when it was needed, not necessarily medications and stuff like that, but I knew her on a personal level. So I just stepped up to it.
Yeah, and Vincent, are you an only child too, or did you have siblings?
I'm my mother's only child. I have a half brother, much older, and but I was basically hers. But yeah, we remained friendly and close, and he always called her Ma. But when it came down to it,
Yeah,
it was God and some of us ain't.
yeah, that's right. So you jumped in. Very good. Okay.
So like Christy said, it's usually like the oldest daughter. So I was the oldest child and the only daughter. So I had spent my whole life being the boss. And so when this situation came along, I just took over, and everybody said, okay. Nobody questioned it. So that became my job. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad it was, because I was the most suited person for it. But still, it's a lot, especially when you're not anticipating it.
You know,
What?
I was also always bossy as a kid. I kind of was a caregiver when I was a kid for both my parents, and even like my father did pass before my mom. And at the end, I was a caregiver for him, making sure everything was going accordingly because my mother was not fully. She couldn't be really there for a lot of the stuff that needed to be overseen. So I used to pick out their clothes as a kid. So I was a natural born caregiver.
I did want to ask you, since we've kind of made this a central theme of this is men, sons stepping in and doing this. Have you, any of you, encountered other sons that are now doing any kind of caregiving, whether it's for someone with dementia or not? Have you? Sometimes it's like when something becomes a part of your life, you start to see it other places. And I'm just wondering if any of you have encountered that, where you're finding other people in there and you're able to say, yeah, I get it. And yeah, this helped or whatever. I'm just curious if that's occurred for you.
Um, I'll
Yeah,
go for
that's it.
it.
Yeah.
Most recently, one of our really good friends, he was a caregiver for his mom for years. He actually lived with her, and she had some care outside of when he was at work. But we would go there weekly, Douglas and my husband and I, and help out. And I would just like kind of sit with her. And he said, like, how do you do it? He said, like, because he could not put up with because he lived with her and he just knew her, and the son dynamic was a little different. Whereas I would just be talking to her about, the old time music, and I would like curse just like I did to my mother. I was using all the tricks that I used with my mom, with his mom, and he would just sit there in the corners like, how does Vincent do it? And it's like, I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy older people actually uh, because I can relate to them and you always learn something from them. So over the years, whenever someone was going through something, whether it was dementia or something, I would always give my 2 cents about what worked for us and what might work for you, what might not. But
Yeah.
yeah.
David or Alfredo, either of you encounter other people and see this in
Yeah,
your?
and some of them had similar experiences. I mean, one of the gentlemen, when I first told him I had written a book about my mom's, he goes, "Oh my God, tell me about that," right? And we talked about what was going on. His dad had a brain injury. He helped take care of his dad, and then his mom was kind of slipping too, and getting into that age after his dad had passed away. And he said a similar thing that I'd seen. People said, "Well, what about your life?" He's like, "I don't understand. What do you mean this is my life?" Right? So it's a funny thing. I've seen a variety of different people doing it, kind of similar to you, Vincent, where I've seen people who are kind of caregiving, but a totally different methodology to how they do it. They were much better at boundaries than I ever was, right? This just kind of consumed my life. And other people were much better at that and totally good with it. Like, no, I'm not going to be there. I can't be there. This is going to have to go whichever way it's going to go. And I don't know what drives that need to take care of that stuff. I guess the negative side of that is we're fixers, right? And that's negative and positive, right? It brings all kinds of attributes to the table. But I think a lot of people um, are better at boundaries than for sure I ever was. I have a neighbor up the street. His mom just passed away recently, and he was doing a lot of the caregiving with similar situations, siblings across the country. And now that his mom's passed, he's like, I'm just devastated. I don't know what to do. I said, yeah, this is kind of where you're going to be for a while because this was sort of your mission in life, and your mission in life has just left you, and it's your mom, which is huge, right? So it's just different for everybody, I think, right? It's really hard to figure that out because when you're in it, you just do it, and other people do it, but they might do it differently than you. So if you can go in and support differently to help the things that they can't do, it's great. I mean, I never
Yeah.
thought I'd miss when my mom passed away. Somebody asked me like a week later, like, how are you doing? And I said, well, I never thought I'd say this, but I miss changing my mom's diapers. just because of the connection, right? I mean, um, it was so bizarre when we first started that process, when she suddenly needed diapers and we had caregivers and other folks that came in from hospice who were helping with that. And pretty soon the situation inevitably develops that if you're there, you're going to be a part of this, right? And we learned to laugh through it because as crazy it was for her, I could say, she'd say, this is garbage. And I was like, yeah, it is, but we're almost done. And she'd just laugh, right? So you learn how to accommodate situations you never thought you would.
True, true.
Very true.
How about you, Alfredo? Have you encountered anybody else who you're?
I have, but I have to say, 95% female peers
Yeah,
and
yeah,
friends.
yeah, yeah.
But as I'm fond of telling all of my guy friends, they're like, "Hey, Alfredo, this is my mom's kind of being a little weird about this." Like, I just basically answer, "Well, you haven't done it yet." So it's a big not yet on the male side of things. And I've done a few book clubs, but again, it's been mostly women in the
Sure,
role.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, most of the people in this organization are women as well. Yeah.
That's why I was so glad that you decided to do the interview for mothers and sons specifically, because it's usually you hear about the women, which is
Right.
the majority. So it was like it was refreshing. I said, yeah, I gotta do this. I gotta be there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
thank
so
you.
glad you
Sure.
came. So, what about lifestyle adjustments? What kind of lifestyle adjustments did you have to make when you took on caregiving?
Hmm.
Alfredo, do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, the way I felt about it was nobody told me growing up that I have two grown sons, and nobody told me that I would have another kid when I was in my 50s, only she would be in her 80s and have opinions and could be cranky and not have the same rosy cheeks. So I didn't see that coming at all. I really felt we're primed to, have babies. We're your kids. You're sort of told about it and play with dolls and a zillion books. But boy, if there was a heads up about this, I missed it entirely. Lifestyle, it changes everything. So the way you make plans. So for example, in one desperate moment, I had to take a week-long work trip, and I just my mom at the time, she has her ups and downs, phases, different kind of phases. She was very, just needing me to be around a lot, very anxious when I was gone. And in desperation, I took out a Craigslist ad for someone to take her to Starbucks for her decaf latte every day, to put the lotion on her legs that she likes, and to play some old songs because I was desperate, but I happened, it's Craigslist, so it's sketchy, but I found somebody. But that's kind of the scrambling and figuring it out and learning curve is why I shared that little anecdote. But sure, now my life is very much, I'm very conscious of how long I go between visits, and post-its have become central to my existence. So when I leave, every time I leave my mom is in assisted living. So I've kind of went through all phases. Began living with her in Southern California. I'm in Northern California. When that really wasn't sustainable, I had people go there to her condo as caregivers, but she didn't really care for them. She didn't want a stranger coming in. I get it, makes sense. So that didn't really help. So ultimately, I moved her up to the Bay Area into assisted living near me. So that's kind of been the journey real quick. But anyways, the post-it. So whenever I see her, I leave a post-it saying, "I will be back," and I write down the date. And I also got her a big, one of those big memory clocks where it tells you the day and the afternoon and the time. So that if I mess up on that, if I'm a minute late, I can be sure I'll get the phone calls. So that, but the good thing is that's sort of like the pressure of it. But the good part is when she can check that, I think it really calms her to know that okay, in 1 or 2 days he will be here. But that is so your life basically it is like having a kid. The level of responsibility, time commitment. Yeah, that's how I would sum it up.
Yeah.
I mean, all of our friends, Douglas and I, when we would be out or just any place, I would get a phone call because my mother would call nonstop, and we visit her. We were there every day. But they said, what's that, your mother?" I said, "Well, I never had kids, but now I have a kid. This is my kid, and it's a 24/7. Even though I didn't live with her, I knew all the nursing staff, I knew the doctors. They all knew me. They were all relieved when we came to visit because they knew we knew how to handle her and make her smile, make her eat and do whatever. But the phone was on 24/7. I would get phone calls 3 or 4 in the morning sometimes. "Vincent, when are you coming to see me?" And it's like, "Ma, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Go to bed." Um, So constant reassuring, and it's like having a kid. But again, once that ended, like David, like I did miss it, and for years afterward, I would check the voicemail, and the phone rang. It's like it's my mother. I mean, I till this day, I still dream. Oh my God, I forgot to go to my mother's today, and it's been quite a few years, so it really does a number on you too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's complete upheaval. I mean, everybody's situation is a little different. For me, my sister had moved in to my mom's house. She needed to for a lot of reasons. But I was kind of the peacemaker. And so what I found was I was driving across town all the time. Hey, David, you got to come over. Because my mom was particularly violent and crazy, paranoid, afraid in the early stages. I could be halfway home and my sister would say, hey, can you come back? Um, and I was just always at the ready to do that, right? So my lifestyle changed dramatically. My daughter was a budding teenager at the time, and she spent a lot of time over there too and watched all this stuff and learned about compassion. And I saw the same thing. We had a pastor that lived up the street, and we called him one day to come over. My sister called him because my mom was just unhinged. And I sat there in front of her for, it must have been close to 2 hours, right? And I had an Ativan, and she was calling me every name in the book. She was spitting at me. She was throwing punches at me. And I said, look, I get it. You hate me. I got it. As soon as you take this pill, I'll be gone. I will never come back. I promise you. And then after a while, she finally goes, okay, so if I take this, you're going to go. And I said, absolutely. I'll do that. Right. And of course, I said, she took it and she said, okay, go. I said, well, I'll leave it just a little bit longer, right? Until it took effect. That eventually faded, but it was always that kind of consistency that she wanted. I remember one day in particular that still haunts me. Nothing I can do about it now, but I was getting ready to go because I said, "Hey, I got to go." I was over there for the afternoon. I got to take care of my daughter, pick her up from school, and take care of the dogs, etc. She goes, "Well, you don't have to go." And I'm like, "Well, I got to do this." She goes, "No, I mean, you can bring your dogs and just move here and just stay with me." And I'm like, "Oh, mom, you're like," and I remember that to this day, right? All she ever wanted was time, right? So the more I could give her, the better it was. And you could never give enough. It's just not possible. But it is it was a beautiful, I guess, probably changing experience for me to really focus on the priorities, right? And I still carry that with me to this day. That there's no replacement for that. And I think like you two guys, I mean, we all had strong love for our mom, and that ironically, as hard as it was along the way, it only cemented that relationship even more. Um, and it was beautiful for my sister to see it and for my daughter to see it. Um, I think it was hard on my siblings who weren't spending a lot of time there to see how that unfolded. But at the end of the day, it was about my mom. It wasn't about me or any of our family. So yeah, it was definitely a change, but a change that I would do all over again if I were asked. I might do it a little differently. I'd be more patient. I'd be more kind, but I would certainly do it again.
David, I just have to jump in real quick. I thought you meant the Ativan was for you, which I completely, which
You know,
makes total
I
sense
thought
to me.
about it. I
I,
thought
yeah,
about it
I
times,
wouldn't
yeah.
hesitate. And the second piece is, for what it's worth, I've talked about my mom and to my therapist many times, and this question of how much time you spend. Yes, there's not enough time. As my therapist said, you could put a cot in the room next to her and hold her hand 24 hours, and still she'd want you there more. So she's like, you can always do more, and there is no limit. So it
Mhm.
is a possibility. So I hope you, anyways, I hope you're at some peace about that. We all have our would have, could have done a little differently, or whatever haunts us, as you put it. But man, cut yourself a break, because you cut yourself a break.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think where I arrived at there on her day with her last breath, right? She knew to the very last second she was on this earth that she was loved. And And I was the only one she never forgot. She only forgot my sister once, but she never forgot me. And I was always the one she'd go to. So there was some level of trust that was established there, even on the days when I just lost it, right? I was intolerant. I wanted to scream back at her as if that would do any good. But she knew I was engaged and she knew I loved her completely. And I think at the end of the day, that's about all you can really give because you can't fix it. I think that was the biggest struggle for me along the way is like, no, there's got to be a way that I could fix this. Let's go to the doctors. Let's do this. Let me find another way to do this, right? Like the use of logic in the early years, that was just foolish now. But back then, I knew if I could explain enough, she'd understand. And you just can't, right? So it's all about love and learning love in a new way to just kind of self-sacrifice and give what you can because that's the only thing that really helps at all. And sometimes that doesn't even help.
Yeah. I mean, I was really, really lucky that it was Douglas and me because we were like yin and yang. I would be out there and I would like have no patience and I'd be cursing and screaming because that was our relationship. And he would give me a look like it's time for you to go talk to the nurses. And he would calm her down and like rub her fingers and do her nails and all this stuff. And then where's Vincent? Where's Vincent? He's talking to the nurses. He's supposed to be seeing me. So it was good that we had a balance. So even though I was this person that was in her face all the time and challenging, I was doing everything wrong actually. But for us, it worked. Um, but to have that other person there was a lot of people, whenever they become caregivers, husband, wives, whatever, it tears them apart. It brought our relationship even closer together, which was very pretty amazing. But to really regress on the why I became a caregiver from the day one, it's like I don't want to do this crap. I mean, that was my first thought. And then I said, what if, just put myself in her place. What if I'm this person? Who's going to take care of me? Who would I trust? So that's when the light bulb went and I said, I got to do this.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I'm overly empathetic with anything and anyone, which is a
I've
good thing. But yeah,
I've told my son that to receive anything out of my will, A, he has to care for me, just exactly because of what you said, and B, he has to do it without resentment. That's the hard part. So, and I don't know how someone's going to gauge that for me if I'm not with it and together, but that's a little thread I've thrown out there. Yeah.
So, Alfredo, is there anything about your experience that you would do over or that haunts you? Something that you feel you didn't do right that you would want to do over?
Well,
Sure.
and I think Alfredo, you're still caring for your mom, right? Your
I
mother's
am.
still,
Yeah.
she's still living. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you know the book, you know it's nothing. It's guilt is probably the headline, and under that maybe shame, resentment, but also some good things in there. Of course, I wish I was more. We've touched on it already. You guys have touched on it. More patient, more compassionate, understanding that logic does not work, and it's actually just sets you back. It upsets her. It upsets me ultimately. So I do regret. I'd regret times. I remember once we went to a restaurant that she liked with a friend of hers. So it was the three of us. And for some reason, the noise that day of the other diners got to her. And she was sort of doing this, plugging her ears and squinting her eyes and sort of making strange noises. And I could see that her friend didn't quite understand what was going on. And I thought I kind of knew what was going on, but I was so kind of embarrassed looking around like our other patrons going to think this is weird. And then later when I was taking her home and this is so shameful, but I said it to her. I said, if you act like that again, Mom, I'm not taking you out. And she was really hurt in the moment. And it was so sad and petty of me because it was my issue. Obviously, my mom was probably not aware whether anyone cared. And I don't, the other people didn't care either. What do they care? I mean, we've all heard screaming babies or, loud noises next door. You just kind of roll over it. I was acting like, oh, this was put upon me, but it was my baggage. It was my problem. And the best I can say to myself now, in retrospect, is like, I hope I wouldn't do that again. But one of the strange blessings, I think, of dementia, Alzheimer's, is that you have these blow-ups that make you feel awful, but in a good way, maybe that immediate memory fades from Mom pretty quickly. So she doesn't hold it against you the way she would if she had the capacity to hold a grudge still. So I think like the grudge capacity goes away, but if you hold her hand and smile, those cut deeper than words and can kind of make up for the bad moments. So I feel like in a weird way, the stuff that makes me impatient and snippy also kind of is more fixable because maybe the memory of it isn't quite there. But I felt awful in the moment for sure, and it still bugs me. It's just shameful.
Mm.
But I have to get over it.
It's
What
It's
about
not,
you,
it's not
Vincent?
shameful, Alfredo. It's human.
Yeah.
You told me to cut myself some slack. I'm telling you to do the same thing for sure. Like we all have exhaustible patience and 1,000 other things going on in our lives. So when this thing comes and it has to take precedence over everything, you're like, okay, really? Like I can't believe this is really going on right now. It's yeah, that's something we all could use a little dose of, is to grant some patience and grace to ourselves too, because it's not easy.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear. I love hearing this. It's so poignant. And I don't know that I've ever spoken to any of our authors or other people I know who are doing any kind of caregiving that they don't have some regret. And yes, it's almost like we do expect ourselves at times, at least I did, to be perfect and superhuman and get everything and get it all right. And like that never happened. So now 10 years, my parents, this will be 10 years since I lost both my parents. And I look back and I often, when I talk, I tell the story of, difficult times, but oh my gosh, I think what you just said, Alfredo, is kind of the strange. I don't want to say gift, but yeah, it's definitely when you're caregiving for somebody who has dementia, it definitely has that short-term loss level of dementia. Yeah, you can come back and be the star the next day. I don't know, and that's not right, and I never took advantage of that. But I look back now and I think, I think it was so horrible, and yet I know both my parents knew that I was there and I loved them, and that was really special. So, yeah, it is important for us to forgive ourselves.
It is. And
Well,
I
if
think
you think about parenting in general, I mean, I think back to my mom. She's a feisty Italian, and I mean, there were lots of times when she would cut loose on us kids because there were five of us driving her nuts, right? And then the next day she'd be making cookies or whatever she did. We knew she loved us, and I think part of that humanness is how we relate and how they understand it too. I mean, it's um it's just part of the landscape. We can't all be smiling and perfect and mama knows best kind of thing on, Leave It to Beaver or something. It's just not reality.
yeah, that's right. I want to also say, because I think both David and Vince have touched on it, because your folks are gone. Is that uh, you guys did, it sounds like you guys did find gifts in there, like the love till the very end and how that lasted with you, or Vince actually missing the fact all the work you had to put in and the 3 a.m. phone calls. What I want to kind of say is that in all of this, and it's taken me 4 or 5 years to kind of see it, is there really are special gifts in there. So when I take my mom, for example, for her Starbucks that she loves so much, well, she's also become, so in addition to kind of that sort of childlike love of sweets, like that sweet coffee or chocolates, she never really had much dessert when we were growing up. And now she loves the Ferraro chocolate balls or the Hershey Kisses, whatever. And she can have as much as she wants. Who cares? Oh, that's great. And she's really crazy about dogs, kittens, all the primal stuff. And so when I go with her and a mom is bringing her baby in, like on a stroller or something, my mom will get up with her walker and just go right over, no boundaries, and get right close and be like, oh, and kind of stare at the baby. And it can go on for more than just the kind of the socially acceptable 3 or 4 seconds. Oh, you got a cute kid, and then you turn back and do your thing. My mom will sit there and be like, "Oh," and keep going. But this is so amazing and beautiful, and such a mind-blowing lesson to me. To a person, anyone she's done that to, the young mother, dad, whatever, they intuit. They can see maybe my mom is a little something different with her, but they have this incredible patience, and they don't mind having their kid gushed over for an extra 15, 20, 30 seconds. And that's a huge lesson for me. Another one is just how like I always, like anybody else, I'm sort of, I wish I can get rid of regret with the past or rumination, anxiety about the future. I wish I really could be in the present. And the crazy thing is, my mom is totally in the present. So when I'm showing her YouTube videos of puppies and kitties, she's completely engrossed. Like she's as happy as she could ever be, and nothing. She's got no stuff in the past that she's worrying about. She's not worrying about tomorrow and who's gonna get the coffee. Like I wish I was like that. I wish I could. So there's, in a crazy way, she's like a living textbook of maybe how to be a little bit more present in some of the things that I want to accomplish in my life, or trust, or just giving more benefit of the doubt to strangers, whether it was in that restaurant when mom was freaking out, or whether she's gushing too much at a baby, but the strangers don't care, or they're like they're fine with it. I need to learn that stuff. So I just want to point out, because of course we're talking about some of the hardships about this whole process, but there is, and I'm fortunate. I still have time with my mom. Like, there's also some good stuff in there, and I think we've all kind of touched on it. So I just want to make sure that we don't kind of forget about that as we have this chat.
Well, and I want to say I'm sorry, Marianne, there's a thing in the chat that's just pointed at, it's that same question, Alfredo. Somebody writes to us, for each of you, what was the most healing or unexpectedly difficult part of writing about your caregiving experience? So you kind of touched on that a little bit. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Marianne, if there's something else in there.
No, I just wanted to say that, Alfredo is in a good position because he is learning how to make this a better experience while his mom is still with him, as opposed to a lot of the people who come to us after the fact. And we always hear them. One of the common things we hear is, I wish I knew this when my mom was here, or my husband, or whoever it was, which is sad.
And that's the beauty of Al's authors, is that I'm so grateful to the three of you for writing your stories, because one, I think that it's allowing other people going through this journey to see, oh, this is kind of how it goes, or, oh, this is normal that I feel this crazy right now, but it's also normalizing. I think that, what you're explaining, Alfredo, this reaction from community people, I think because we're talking about dementia more, and we're talking about caregiving more, and we're not hiding people away. I think more people are cognizant of what's happening and maybe have a little bit more patience. But yeah, those are all great things. So I guess any other reactions? I think what you're saying, Marianne, is so spot on. It's nice.
Well, when we wrote the book, actually, we were writing it with my mother while she was still alive. She knew what was going on, and she always we would videotape her and do stuff to make her part of it. It was part of our therapy. And the main thing we would always do is going back to what Adelpho was saying before, Alfredo, sorry. Divert and distract, because if something wasn't going right, I would be the king of like being able to change the subject, let her mind spin around for a minute and go someplace else and be totally happy, whether it's music, which was generally it, cursing, or food. Those were our three go-tos. But the question about writing, it was difficult because we were doing it together. We were videotaping it, like I said, but then we started writing the blog, and then it turned into a book. But she was aware of it and she loved it. She loved the attention. And to see comments in the YouTube videos, she was like, oh, they're talking about me in China. And it's like, yes, Ma, they are. Oh, people really love me. It's yes, Ma, we all do. So it was good. But as far as writing the book, after she passed, I had to put it aside for a period because it was too close. And it's like, it's kind of dumb, but I need to edit and look at it, and I don't want to go through all these feelings because it's tough to go back there. But then I butched it up, and I put on my big boy pants, and I did it. And what we did from that, actually, even before the book came out, was we were writing a play. It turned out because someone had asked us, why don't you make this book into a play? And we did. And when it was in the Fringe Festival, they couldn't find the actors to play Douglas and me. And we wound up playing ourselves, which was therapy times a million. I mean, like, you could not pay a therapist enough to say the words that you actually said. And that was some tough crap. But we did it, and I'm really proud we did it. Uh,
Is that recorded anywhere where we could watch it?
um, it probably, yeah, I probably do have copies of it someplace. It's not necessarily out there in public because they want, you know, it all out there. But people
Mhm.
did see it, and some of it was recorded for our things because we're still working on actually another um offshoot of the project and stuff, a series and stuff. So we're in we're in project mode still, and it's
Great.
it's much easier because now it's comforting. It's got to the point where it's great to remember, and like I do what she does. Like she used to like looking at the old photos, and because it would just like that would bring back the memory. And then she would also teach me about people that I didn't know. Like I didn't know her mother and her father, and it was a learning process. So I like it.
That's great. What about you, David, writing the book? How was that for you?
Um, it was very painful. I started writing when my mom's still alive. I was on my way back from Atlanta, and I was like, I just got to put this down because this is just too crazy, right? And after my mom passed, I'm like, okay, I need to finish this book, and came upon a publisher and sent some stuff off because somebody recommended it, and they wrote back and said, "Hey, this is really important. We want to publish it." I'm like, "Come on, is this a joke? Nobody, this doesn't happen, right?" And then they said, "Hey, do you think you could finish like the last three chapters this weekend?" And I'm like, sure, right? Like I could just do that, right?" And so I set out to do that starting Friday night. And Sunday morning, when I was getting close to the end, I was just weeping trying to get through this. And I realized that part of the reason I didn't want to finish it because I didn't want to really say goodbye. Um, and my publisher said something to me in the very beginning. She's like, "Hey, you write in here how this is a gift. No one's really going to believe that." And I'm like, "Well, it was pure hell and it was a pure gift, right?" The relationship I had with my sister, because we were partners in crime on this, what it did for my daughter, what it did for me, teaching me stuff that, I mean, I cared for my dad when he had cancer, my sister who passed away. All of that's true. This is just different. Dementia and Alzheimer is just a different thing that teaches you much more about yourself and about life than I ever knew. And I'm still learning things now that as I look back. Um, so it was definitely a need to thing for me to get it out, but it was for sure a gift all the way. All the good, the bad, the ugly. It was for sure a gift.
Mm. And Alfredo, your book is a little different because it was a novel. Do you ever think about writing a memoir?
I haven't yet. The novel, I chose the novel. That's just kind of in my wheelhouse of my experience, but also it allowed me to. There's 9 or 10 characters. They're all kind of in I guess you'd call it a school or support group. But the point is, I could explore not just my experience, but the experience of these other characters. Because when I wrote the book, it was really a compulsion. I didn't know it was going to be my next novel at all until stuff happened with mom, and then I just suddenly had a light bulb moment that, man, I wish I had this 5 years ago. And if anybody out there, if one person reads it as they're beginning the caregiving journey and finds some comfort in it, realizes they're not the only worst son out there, then I've done my job. So it has that definite kind of zealous missionary zeal about it, like do that. But I just like I say, I wanted multiple characters. I wanted to do dramatic stuff that's beyond what's my own lived experience. And so as long as the emotional stuff and the dark humor rings true, great.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know that David earlier mentioned about getting personal with mom's care. And that's difficult for a lot of people, especially I think for men caring for their moms and also women caring for their dads, dealing with incontinence and dressing and bathing and all of that. Do you have any comments about that, Vincent or Alfredo?
Well, for me, luckily, it only happened, I think, twice because she had to be in a facility. But Douglas and I would take her out a lot. take her out in a wheelchair, put her in the car, go out to restaurants, go shopping and do stuff. But there was an incident at the beginning that she just let it all go. And she was still able to walk at that time 100%. And she was so embarrassed. And she came home and I said, "Oh, just give me your stuff. It's no big deal. We all do that, you know." She said, "Oh, well, I said, "Just get dressed now and everything's fine." I don't know where that came from because normally I'd go, "Whoa," that's why I never had kids, really. So yeah, sometimes things were a little bit uncomfortable, but I always made it work. And the the thing that Alfredo was said before about like if you can learn something from the book, people, it's surprising to me, and it's really great to hear. They like always view me as a saint, like, "Oh, you were the best son, you were such a saint," and it's like I don't have any regrets of what I did. I mean, some things could have been better or different, but I don't regret the way I handled it. I think I did a hell of a job, you know, and to know that and to hope somebody does that for me, that would be great.
What about you, Alfredo?
I haven't yet had that level of intense, intimate care that David has experienced with mom, but I just want to share my thought on it because I'm thinking about it down the road. It's weird. I think to myself, I am not at all squeamish about picking up my dog's waste. But when I imagine having to do it for mom, I just get completely freaked out. It's ridiculous. Like if the aliens came down tomorrow and they saw a dog walking us and we are stooping to pick up its waste, they'd be like, "Oh, so the four-legged ones are in charge and the two-legged ones are the servant." It would just be obvious. But I will say I did have one experience when my stepdad in the last few days before he passed, he did become incontinent. There's a couple times where I had to go take care of him in the bathroom, and maybe it's just human nature or the fixedness or when you're in that crisis moment, all my squeamishness went away. And I just did it almost like not an outer body experience, but all the stuff that if I have time to imagine it bothers me when it's actually happening. And you just have to fix it. You just whack-a-mole fires. It was okay. It wasn't a big deal. I wasn't flipped out about it. He was a little bit, I think, embarrassed, but no big deal. So I think hopefully when the time comes, that part of me will resurface. That's not squeamish and that just this is a thing to take care of. No big deal. I did it for my sons, blah, blah, blah. I do it for my dogs. Why not my mom?
Okay, thank you so much. Does anybody have any other questions or comments with these three? No hands raised or anything?
No, we got everything in the chat, so we're good there. Other things that you all wanted to, oh, well, wait, here. As male caregivers, did you encounter any stereotypes or assumptions that surprised or challenged you?
Well, being a male caregiver, yes, but also being a gay male caregiver was a whole nother thing because there was some stereotypes attached to that. We did notice some backlash or whatever when people weren't really familiar with Douglas, my husband, when he would go to take my mom out, and something like, "Who is this person? You don't have you don't have the right." So we did feel some of that. People were always a little surprised that a son would do this, and it's like, well, she doesn't have a daughter, so the son is going to do it, you know. So, but there was always a little, "Oh, you're really close to your mother," and it's like, well, I was since the day I was born, and that's the way it's going to be to the day she dies, which it was.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Just on that question real quick, to me, it's been good. It's been one of the things that's kind of pumped me up and made me feel better about myself. I've only gotten positive feedback. I mean, there's that initial mild surprise, like, oh, you're the guy, you're doing it. Okay. So whether it's at the assisted living or if someone, when we go out to dinner or to shopping, can see me opening doors for her, or pick out her groceries, whatever it is, it's been nothing but positive. So, and I actually was most stunned at the beginning of this chat when you said that 40% of caregivers are guys. So there's the stereotype, but then there's the reality. So there's a lot more
Mhm.
out there than I've been led to believe or that I've kind of encountered. So we're out there, and the feedback's been very positive, and for me, my experience.
Yeah, I don't think I've had any negative feedback. I mean, I think there have been, I think the stereotypes that I've seen, which are very unfortunate and really amped me up, is when my mom needed care. Like one time she went to sit down and she missed the chair and she split her head open on the counter. So we took her to the emergency room and they're like looking at me like, so what really happened here? I'm like, boy, you better hold on just a second here, right? And then another time when we went her in and they kind of said, well, she's just older. I'm like, okay, you get out of here. You get me a new physician in here who's actually going to care. My mom was a nurse for 40 years. And I'm like, if anybody deserves care, she does. And we're going to take care of this. And they're like, okay, right? So the stereotype, the stuff we're aging and stuff where people want to be very dismissive of them as a person, like, oh no, you don't get to do that on my watch because they deserve as much care as anybody. We actually had a paramedic who came one time. There was a group of them when she couldn't walk. She just one day decided she couldn't walk anymore, and one of the caregivers we had that was there during the day was coming up the driveway as he was going down, and he was walking down, and he said, "Too many fucking birthdays." And I wasn't there at the time, and she told me later, and I'm like, "What? What did he say?" And so I called the captain. I had a conversation with him. I said, hey, these guys have really unbelievably hard jobs. I get it. But he's in the wrong profession. He needs a break. I don't know what it is, right? So those are the only kind of things that I saw that were really relative to aging. I didn't see anything because I was doing it with my sister. I think we both had a similar experience in terms of our exposure to people giving us feedback. We got some of that, oh my gosh, you're a saint kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not a saint. The hospice gal told us after my mom passed, we were kind of standing around and she goes, I got to tell you, your family's amazing. I'm like, why? We're just here doing what we're doing, right? And she says, because most of the time I'm the only one here. And it just broke my heart because I thought, how are we devoid of our humanness to just dismiss it and say okay? And it's not to say that people who put people in care facilities like they're bad people. Sometimes you just don't have the means and the time commitment, et cetera, to not do that. But it's such a lost experience if people do it and just walk away. And there were many days when we were so frustrated. I'd say to my sister, that's it. Tomorrow we're done. We're going to do something else. And I'd drive home and I would imagine taking my mom to this place with nothing but strangers and driving away. And I just couldn't do it. Right. And again, it's not meant to say that caregiving is bad or any of those things in terms of facilities and things like that. It's just, it's a missed opportunity for people if they step in, even though it's hard. It's a missed opportunity if you don't experience it because there's no other way to learn some of life's greatest lessons except for through experience in my opinion.
Yeah, I've had a couple of authors have mentioned how they had like it is the gift, but the gift of the whole experience up until the end, and they had siblings who said to them later that they realized when it was over that they had missed out on a lot. And you can't go get it back either. Yeah. Sad. Okay, did we have any other comments or questions? Don't see anything. Christy, did you have anything?
No, I just wanted to hear from each of our guests if you had any parting thoughts. Gosh, we've talked about a lot of different things. What would you say to other sons out there or other husbands or other men who might have the opportunity to jump in? What would you want them to know, I guess?
The,
Yeah.
I mean, without doubt, when anybody asks me, specifically if a guy would ask me, it's like question, question, and re-question. Keep asking questions, keep being the squeaky wheel. Know people that if your loved one's in a facility, know the people because this is your extended family and you all are working on this together. So that's really vital. And the other thing for as far as dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever the blanket may be, uh, to know your loved ones, what's going to get them, whether it's a latte at Starbucks or whether it's singing a song, just and divert and distract them. So know your loved ones, know the people that are taking care of them, and know that you're always available. I mean, that's the main thing. And also give yourself the permission, because it happened very infrequently, because we were there every day. Unless there was a day I was like totally stressed and I would call because I would speak to my mother at least twice a day, even when we visited. And I would say, I would go into sun mode. It's like, Ma, I'm really not feeling good today. I'm not going to be there. I said, what's the matter? Then she'd play mother, what's the matter? And it's like, well, I'm just really exhausted and it was rough at work and this and that. And I added a little more to it, and then she would say, okay, it's fine. Don't see me tonight. Just take 2 aspirin and I'll see you tomorrow, right? And I said, yes, mother. And then she'd call me 2 hours later, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Well, to since we're putting this in the frame of guys taking care, to put it in a very guy way, I would say be ready to take what the defense gives you. There's a sports metaphor for you. So, and what I mean by that is be ready to pivot, try to drop expectations. So to ground that, for example, I worked so hard on making my mom an easy to use medication checklist. I thought I had it all solved. I went through 4 or 5 iterations. I made it as simple as could be: breakfast, lunch, dinner, bedtime. 2 weeks later, it was useless. She was not at the place where she could use it anymore. And I thought I was done. I'm a Virgo. I like things structured and done. I plan it, it works, and I can walk away from it. That doesn't happen anymore. You have to be ready for continual change and just be ready to go with it. Bend, don't break if you can, but just go in there every day, maybe drop some of your expectations for better or worse. You might be going on thinking, oh God, this is going to be a rough day with mom. And for some reason, she's in an amazing peppy mood and smiley. And the reverse is also true. So just take what the defense gives you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. And I would say, pick up some of these books that all authors had. I wasn't aware of you guys when I was going through this. I don't know. I think it would have helped, right? It would have helped to have that because it wasn't something that I didn't really share it with people. It wasn't that I was ashamed or anything like. I just didn't do it. And like one of my best friends, I've known him for 30 years. There isn't anything we don't know about each other. He read my book. He lives in Calgary, and we came back from a night out or something. And he went into his house earlier, and I walked in, and he was just bawling. And I was like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "I had no idea what you went through." And I'm like, and it wasn't that I wasn't trying to reach out or whatever. It just didn't happen for whatever reason. Maybe that's something I wasn't really willing to share, but I think people need an outlet. And I think that's important. And they need resources. And I think this is a good one. I was thinking of you, Alfredo, because I did some work with a company called Hearts and Minds in San Jose. Phenomenal organization that's been providing care for Alzheimer's and dementia for like 40 years. And they have some really innovative ways where they do daycare with kids and they bring kids in with the dementia and Alzheimer's patients. And it's so cathartic. So I was going to mention that to you because you're in Northern California, but it's those resources are just invaluable. And I think one of the things that the CEO of that organization mentioned to me, because I said, originally I was like, I want to do a nonprofit. I want to make sure there's care in every city. Da, da, da. And she goes, I don't think that it's not care. I think that people just don't know. So making sure that people are aware, and you guys are obviously, I've got to applaud what you guys have been doing because it's a phenomenal resource that it needs to be people need to be made aware of it because it's a real key tool to have to know what you're headed into. And I think it's just fantastic what you guys do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And I really, the gifts you have given us, the three of you, are your amazing pieces of work. And I do coach clients, and all of them have said the podcast, the books, these are all things that have helped them. So, we're glad that we have both, all kinds of mediums that people can interact with, because I think what you're expressing, David, is true. People, we don't really walk around all day telling everybody everything that's going on with us, right? But it's hard stuff. And then you're trying to juggle everything, right? You got your life, you got your business, and you got your person. So anyway, thank you all very much. Really love talking with you again, each of you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to meet you guys, and thank you again for all you do.
All right. Now I just need to read my outro. Oops. All right. Thank you for attending Caring for Mothers with Dementia. Three Sons Share Their Stories. Our next live event will be our film festival coming up in August. To date, we have 4 films lined up. Subscribe to our newsletter to get the details as they are released. You can do that on our website, alzauthors.com. We're also planning live author panels later this year to discuss life after caregiving and also traveling with someone with dementia, 2 topics we're sure our followers will be interested in. In the meantime, please check out our podcast and YouTube channel for replays of previous panel discussions, book club meetings, and interviews with our authors. Visit alzauthors.com for details. If you're a subscriber to our newsletter, check your inbox each week for news, introducing our newest author, podcast, special events, and more. We are a 501c3 organization supported by donations only. If you'd like to contribute to our mission to provide quality resources for dementia caregivers, please visit our website, alzauthors.com/donate. You can find us on social media at Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn, where we share a wealth of resources for the dementia journey daily. Please follow us. And remember, you are not alone. One can sing a lonely song, but we chose to form a choir and create harmony. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for listening to Untangling Alzheimer's and Dementia, an All's Authors podcast. For more details on this episode, please see the show notes. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to it on whichever platform you use to listen to your favorite podcasts. For more information on All's Authors, please visit alzauthors.com. While you're there, be sure to browse our online bookstore, where you will find hundreds of carefully vetted books on Alzheimer's and dementia. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Please email your thoughts on the podcast to allsauthors@gmail.com. We are a 501c3 charitable organization, totally reliant on donations to do what we do. If our authors' stories move you, please consider contributing to our cause. Remember, you are not alone. One can sing a lonely song, but we chose to form a choir and create harmony. Hi, it's Mary Ann with exciting news. All's Authors has published a brand new anthology, Poetry for the Dementia Journey, now available in ebook and paperback through Amazon. Within its pages, you'll discover a variety of voices writing about the diversity of dementia care experiences, caring for a mother or father or spouse, witnessing the decline of a sibling, reflections on the time before the diagnosis, the years of care, and the aftermath. Poetry provides us with a meaningful way to explore our experience and emotions regarding dementia and to express ourselves when we encounter the many different joys and dilemmas caregiving can bring. You'll find details on how to order the book in the show notes. Please remember to leave a review on the book sales page once you've read it. Reviews do help boost a book's visibility and helps readers find it. Thank you for your support of our efforts to erase the silence and stigma that often accompany a dementia diagnosis.